I wrote a story about a lesson that I learned from one of my cats and how it relates to how we should treat each other. I grew up on a farm and we had a lot of cats. One time we had 32 at one time. We had 3 litters that were all born in different parts of the house. One was actually born in my drawer, a bunch of little kittens. It was probably due to all the stray cats my animal-loving mother was always taking in. They were always meeting their fate in some awful way, because mathematically with that many cats, there's going to be some deaths. Tango fell out of a tree, Hillary got hit by a car, Minnie got trapped behind some barn equipment, Angel Dust went into the woods and just never came back. There were predators out there, Maggie. Saffron's leg got shot off one time. It was awful. My parents said, we think it was those liberal professors that live next door that run the illegal emu farm. They just don't like us. When something really bad happened to one of the animals, and they were on the brink of suffering and on the brink of death, my dad would take them out to the back and shoot them, and we'd bury them under the hickory tree. He acted really tough about it, but I know he cried about it later. Years later, when I was in my mid-30s and I had moved back to LA for the 3rd time, I never know where to go, I had adopted a cat named Sage. She had been carted around from one place to another with my ex-roommate's brother, who was a drug addict and often homeless. He would take Sage around in a backpack a lot, and it was really hard on her as a child, a small cat. Here's where I'm going to get to my point here. My parents loved taking in stray animals, like myself, because I was adopted. I asked them if they could take Sage. I just couldn't keep her in the apartment I had. So I brought her on a plane, and she hissed and she growled and she was so mad at everybody. Thanks, Mom and Dad, I said, and I was off again, like I always am. So I don't get home very often, and I came back about a year later. And when I got there, I was shocked that she was so nice now. Sage had completely transformed. She was rubbing against me. She was even let me pick her up, and I would walk around the farm with her. And I said to my parents, "What did you guys do?" And my parents' answer was so cute. They said, "Well, we just got to know what she needed. She was afraid of other animals, so we partitioned off a little part of the house so she could feel safe. She didn't like drinking still water, so they got her this little machine that gave her running water like a little waterfall. And your dad just waited every night for her to come to him in his chair that he always sits in. And sure enough, finally she ended up coming over. I was amazed at Sage's transformation." It wasn't until years later that I fully understood what I was meant to learn in this situation. Fast forward about 3 years ago, I got a job going to Central Africa in the Congo to film a female-run ape society that are called bonobos. There's only about 1,000 of them left. And because people in this part of Africa are so desperate for survival, they hunt them and they sell their meat, and it's worth a lot of money, and they don't know any better. And maybe they do, but it's really a hard survival situation there. And when I walked around this huge green 75-acre sanctuary, I heard them rustling and making noises like a greeting to me. And I saw them in this big structure, and one poked its head out at me. And I looked at him and I said, "I am an animal, just like him or she or they." I felt like I knew at that moment I was an animal. And obviously we're Homo sapiens, we should know this, but I really got it on a deep level when I was in Africa. I said, "I'm alive and breathing and feeling just like them." And this was the moment that I really got it. And then I put 2 and 2 together about my cat Sage, and it really hit me. All that work that my parents did with Sage to make her feel safe and help her with the traumas of her past, we need to do this with humans. Why aren't we doing this with humans who are so complex with all the functions in their bodies and brains and all the environments and stimuli we're all exposed to? We all need to have healing, and we all need to help each other heal. People's progress might be slow, and it's going to be vastly different with each and every human because we're all totally different. But if we take the method that my sweet parents did with Sage and work gently and kindly and patiently with others, and sometimes spend a little money on them if we have it, like my mom did with that electric watering bowl, maybe people will stop growling at each other, and in the end, the world will be a nicer place for all of the animals.